On today's show, we look at dreams and bring the interpretation to the next level, looking beyond what I would normally say a dream is about. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome. So excited for today's show.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and souls on their earth journey, because that's what you are, a soul on an earth journey. And that's why we focus on dreams, because if you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now, at this very moment in time, then look no further than your dreams. Your dreams have it all. Through analyzing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the superpowers that you have, what makes you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. But these bumps are not in the way, they are the way. To get your dream analyzed on our show, simply email radioshow@dream-analysis.com and then leave it to us. Sandy.
Alrighty. Yes, we've got some exciting dreams today, so I'm ready to dive in. But before we do, we have an incredible summit planned for May. And before that, we're going to have some workshops. So stay tuned for more exciting stuff that's going to be coming up. I just wanted to give you a heads up because we're still working the details, but I am excited that we got it going. But right now, Michael, anything else you want to share before we dive into these fabulous dreams?
Yes, I do. We have a friend that we work closely with on the more woo side of the things that we do in the school. Like, I wouldn't really say dream interpretation is there, but you might find that one of your gifts is like you're working with energy, you're working with clearing people of spells and curses and things like that. And so the things that different people can do are woo. But anyway, we're having an ordinary week, and then something strange happens on Friday, and I notice my connection has changed. And I'm like, what's going on here? Struggling with it. Just in that it didn't feel the same as it has felt for a very long time, like for decades. But then I phoned our expert friend and I said, hey, and he interrupts and he goes, I know why you're calling. And I didn't know. Here's another thing that's interesting. Sandy always drives our car. Isn't that true, Sandy?
Yes, I do. I love to drive.
And this particular day, we're getting into the car and I said, I want to call this guy. And Sandy goes, well, you have to drive. And she didn't say why, but it didn't bother me. But she's like, you have to drive. And so I'm talking to him and he says, I was working away and I discovered that some of the power to your connection and various other things were not plugged in for both you and Sandy and several other people. And he listed off who they were. And he said, so I fixed it. And he said, so I bet you're calling because something happened there. And I was like, absolutely. But I didn't realize the same thing had happened to Sandy. And she felt very lightheaded, very strange, and didn't know what it was about either. So it was really interesting, intriguing indeed, that happened. And so I spent the whole weekend playing with this connection. And some of the dreams that I'm doing now are dreams that I did over the weekend because it was really cool to try it out. And I wanted to, before Monday, before I start back to work, figure out, what is the difference? How does this feel? How do I get into the right space and all that sort of stuff? Anyway, it's fantastic. The connection is really good. But another thing had happened earlier in the week, and my guide said, an aspect of me has woken up. And I'm referring to this aspect as a monk. I saw him in 4 previous lifetimes. Very wise, very astute, sense of humor, fits the bill. But in all these lifetimes, he was Chinese. But he was the head of an order. I looked it up and I saw the type of clothes they wear, but a Shaolin monk kind of style. So I said that happened during the week. No, it was about a couple of weeks ago this happened. I was told this aspect was waking up and that it would be fully integrated within about 4 weeks. And it's really kicking in and it's given insights to dreams that I would never have spotted before. And so that's part of what we're going to do on this show, taking dreams to the next level. Sandy, I feel like I just said a big monologue.
You did, and it was fabulous. So I'm real excited for people to hear their dreams and the next level that you're going to take them. So if you're ready.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do that with every dream, but we do have 2 of Sandy's dreams as well. Because this impacted her too. So it's like, okay, let's see what her dreams revealed about it. Sandy, take it away.
All righty. The first one is not mine, thank goodness. So let's dive in. See, this is from Sherry, and she wrote a cute little note before we dive into her dream. Hi, I'm new to your work and loving it. I had a dream that was very upsetting to me. Please shed some light on what's going on. And thank you. From Sherry. So the first dream is server nightmare. I recently started another serving job at a restaurant. I was watering some plants on the upper level when a group of about 8 people were seated in my section down below. I accidentally splashed water on them and quickly came down to greet them and tell them I'd bring them something to wipe up the water. I went to the back of the restaurant to find what I needed, and it was taking forever. The manager opened a cupboard and showed me some vases I could use. They were very large, pretty green glasses, splotched with use, but they would do. I also found some towels that were clean but stained. I hurried out to my guest, having all I needed, but they had already finished eating and were paying their check. I saw that they had not been charged properly, but I was too late, and I was going to be responsible. A real server nightmare. All right, Michael.
All right. So, yeah, this is something I didn't know about in America. Obviously, anybody in America listening will already know this, but the IRS taxes servers based on the cost of the checks that they serve in the restaurant to the tables that they serve. If you don't tip, then the server has just spent money serving you, which I think is crazy. But anyway, that's how it is. So here's the analysis. You enjoy looking after your kids, and that's what the plants, the potted plants at the start of the dream are about. And I assume you're happy doing that in the dream, but you are made feel guilty, and that's given by the stain on the towel and the splotched vases. I don't think I've heard that word for a very long time. But anyway, made feel guilty for the time and care that you must absolutely give to your children. And you're also made feel that it interferes with your work. And we know that from the guests already having finished and they're charging correctly, but it's you who will have to pay. So all the things that you do for your kids that you know you need to do is interfering with your work environment in some way, and you're getting the blame for it rather than being rewarded for it, like you're doing 2 jobs. It's Andy.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so we've got 8 people. What's going on with the number 8?
The 8 is going to be about, this should be a loving time in your life. And, where it's like, this is really great. I have kids. I love my kids, all that sort of stuff. The love they gave me, it's reciprocal. It's just all about everybody growing, but it's not.
All righty. And then we have a restaurant. So she's serving at a restaurant.
Well, I'm assuming she's a server, but it would also be a healing symbol. So the intention here would be healing for this issue going on. But if that is really her work environment, then that fits that too.
Wow, that's amazing. And to be so lucky to have kids. And I can understand the stress that goes with it, especially for today's women. You have to hold a job and take care of kids and the house and all the other stuff that comes with it. It can be quite stressful and quite busy.
And this is a theme we're going to come back to deliberately right now.
All righty. The next dream is the baby from Carrie. I come back to work. I've been away for some time. I was in a hallway for an entrance area. Britt, a retired colleague of mine, was there. Her hair was gray, silvery gray. Britt had been doing a lot when I was away. I wondered if I should push the rewind button and see what she's been up to. At the 2-seater sofa, there lays a baby alone. It was a boy. He wore a light green jumpsuit that somebody had knitted for him. I looked him in the eyes. The eyes were blue, very strong, clear blue. He looked away as he did not want any contact inwards in any way, or maybe he was in anger. I don't know. I said to Britt, he will soon start to move around. Then you will have to be there and take care of him or give him some attention. Ooh, interesting dream about a baby there. Goes well with the last one there, Michael.
It does. So here we go. So your guides are saying that you hit a point where you're already going along and progressing and you've done well. And then you hit this point where you decide, I'm going to regroup and I'm just going to knuckle down and work on myself and attack this again. Now, it's not that you don't feel like you haven't attacked it and done well, but you're like, okay, time to regroup. It's like a revived attitude of, I'm just going to see what's going on. Look at what I did. Maybe look at what all the layers are. So I'm looking at myself today and looking at myself arriving on the planet, coming in. So if I could stack different times of my life on top of each other and then align up all the points, maybe I could see how one thing is connected to the other, which is true. They are. Now, I asked Carrie about her friend Britt, and she holds her in very high regard. She said, if I approach things the way Britt does, I'd solve it. So Britt is obviously good in the dream. It is important to say this is not about Carrie going backwards, because they're saying that the overall dream is about evaluating where she's at and measuring her progress. So that's quite good. So moving on, the two-seater had a baby that was 7 months old, as I asked her the age, and she said the child was clearly neglected in the dream. So you're looking at a child who's been left alone, and that's Carrie at 7 months. So you're looking at the start of your life, because that's what the entrance hallway is about. It's about the very start of life, and from there to 7 months. And again, because she made a point of saying it's a two-seater couch, so there should be two people here, but it's just the child on its own, and he's covered in green. So normally in these type of dreams, you would see that the child is dressed in pink, and pink would be healing, giving unconditional love that the dreamer never got. But instead here it's green. And so I had to channel on that, and I was told it's a symbol of love, green being the color of the heart chakra. And it's really a symbol that says of the baby, or Carrie at 7 months, I am the love, and I am the love that is neglected. So her guides are turning it around. They're saying, Mom neglected me and didn't allow me to love her. She didn't see that I am love. It's really kind of philosophical, which is interesting. My channeling says that the child, even though it's on the outside, is still part of Mom. And so it's like, I should be in Mom's space at all times. That's how it's meant to be. And yet I am neglected. The system is designed to where you're meant to be around Mom. And that didn't happen for Carrie. Her mom broke the system. Then we see the talk of when the child can move around, he can't be neglected anymore. And I really love that in the dream. It's really the antidote. The neglect can't continue, because the whole system is designed that I should be in the care of adults, and adults have to be around me because they're meant to be around me, because it's necessary for my bonding. If Mom was around me as a child, I would feel like I found my place. And of course, this would be Carrie finding her place. So with the neglect, she didn't get to find her place. She didn't bond. And so that's obviously a big thing in her life. Then she's looking at the eyes of the child. So she's clairvoyant. That's how she can channel. That's fine. It's not really what the dream is about, but we typically see these things in dreams about birth. But then she says the boy didn't want any contact. Now that's really BS. There's no child that comes in and does not want to be loved and held and all that sort of stuff. So it means, though, that the pain had already happened at this very young age of 7 months. And that's really sad. So if I ask Carrie, she would say, I don't want contact from other people now. And that's obviously not true. But it would mean that she hit a point where she was like, I'm happier being alone because there's a price to pay if I'm not, or something to that effect. And so that has come from this time that we're seeing in the dream, from when she was up to 7 months saying, I got no contact, I was neglected. And so I don't want to pull people into my life and be neglected by them. That's typically the way it works out. So if you look at why today you're saying, I'm on my own and that's a terrible thing, how do I fix that? Well, the answer is, from this dream, you look at a part of you that is determining that being on your own is better. And that was determined at age 7 months. It's not all of you, but there's a part of you that's locked in to your subconscious that says, I'm better off alone. And in your case, being aware of it is enough, because they show it like as if you're stacking all these crates on top of each other and you're looking to see where is there an imbalance. And you can look at that and say, okay, here at the bottom on this side on the left front, it needs to be adjusted a bit, and then you can fix it. And then it's all fine. It's look, hey, it's perfect. So you're looking at all the segments of yourself and looking at all of them together and seeing the connection. The connection between events in the beginning and events as they transpired throughout your life. But it's not stretched out in linear fashion. It's like, I want to wind this around and then see where all these things that match show up in a column, the same column that they're on. I want to then examine that column. And that level of awareness is enough. Now, in Carrie's case, she's already in counseling. So that's why they're saying she doesn't need to do anything like cutting the ties that bind, because she's already in a talk therapy and it's working really well. But it's a very impactful dream. And I think it's one of those, this level came to me because of this new aspect. And it, like, even in the analysis, I said it seems very philosophical, but that's what's coming to me in dreams when I allowed this aspect to kick in. To me, it just seems really huge, but I don't know if it really comes across that way. But that's often the way it is for me. I do an analysis and I'm like, wow, that dream is so amazing. And the analysis is so amazing, like what it's saying about life and how life works. I feel like you could write a book about this particular dream.
Wow, Michael, that is so amazing. And I love how you say that mom is supposed to be with the born baby, with the child, that her job's not done once the baby is born. And she needs to be there so that bonding continues. That's amazing. But you know what? I have a question.
I'm sure you
Why is
do.
oh yeah, why is it a boy and not a girl? What's going on? So Carrie is a little girl. So what's
Oh,
going on?
okay, that's because she's in her head. Boys represent logic, women represent feelings, and so on. So when the gender switches, it means I became masculine, and you look for the masculine trait that they're talking about, and so I became logical. The safe place for me is in my head. I retreat to my head, you could say. I don't want to be near my heart. I don't want the closeness. I'm happier to analyze situations and work them out intellectually. That should really hit home, that I want to understand things rather than feel things, because that's her default. But that isn't a child's default. The default is I'm in this symbiotic relationship where we're both meant to be together, and I'm meant to develop myself in that space where I know I belong, and I belong with mom. But Carrie didn't get that. And so then it switched to, can I understand what's going on rather than can I just be in this space and develop? It's a deep dream. And like I said, you could write a book about it in terms of what it means because it's so philosophical. And when talking to Carrie, she said, I didn't understand what my mother really wanted with me. And that is exactly my point. You should never have to understand. There's no point at which it's like, hey, I figured it out. Children don't do that. It's not how it's meant to be. It is just immediately meant to be that you develop in close proximity to mom, the same way you develop in the womb. When you're born, the guides are saying that we're not fully developed and we're born and we still need to continue to develop outside the womb, but we're meant to be in mom's space. In that symbiotic space, it's healthy for both the parent and the child. And Carrie was denied that space. And so because of that denial, it immediately impacts her development.
Well, Michael, so if we step back, I mean, this is a common thing for today because women have to go back to work. They can't normally stay home in many cultures. You know, you go back to work within 10 weeks. Is the baby fully developed by then? I don't know. I mean, it's been 9 months for a little guy or a little girl. Huh? What do you think?
Well, that's an American problem, really. In other parts of the world, people get 6 months to a year paid. But yeah, it is sad. And even in other parts of the world, it's like the importance of it is not really reflected properly. I remember when the laws changed here in America, it was way, way back when Bill Clinton was in, and they changed it to where women, rather than getting entitlement to childcare services and everything they would need after a child was born, they then got daycare services, but they had to work in order to be able to qualify for these. So it's like society has broken the system and we're living in this broken system. It wasn't broken to the same extent when my kids were young, but it's pretty broken now. You know, you'd have to be really well off to say, hey, we can survive on one income and give our children all the attention and time that they need. It's pretty sad.
It is. What an amazing dream. And I'm excited to see that she's working on herself to heal this. Anyways, I am ready to move on to the next dream because I'm excited about it. Are you ready?
Yes.
All righty. It's titled Dating Two Men. Woohoo! And it's from Sophie. I am dating two men and they are starting to get more serious about me. So I'm getting to a place where I need to choose between them. The first one has a dream that he needs to sell his house and buy a new one. He's more like my partner, Jack. It's confusing whose house is going to be sold. Is it mine or his? He's thinking we will move in together. He's saying excitedly that he needs to be on the paper, the deed. It's confusing if we're talking about selling his house or my house. I'm thinking I will need to buy a building for my work so that I still have my own property. Then he's gone and Dan comes over. It's awkward because Jack sent a drone looking for me. And then I see Jack almost coming through the ether up a half flight of stairs on the landing. Like I can see his upper body. He's looking for me and he's panicked because of the move. And I'm reaching through to hug him. I'm pushing on his back pain points to release his stress. He's slumped on me and acting very needily and dependent. All right, Michael, that's such a strange dream.
All right. First of all, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, that woman, Sophie, must have a way in with Michael and Sandy because all her dreams get done on the show, it's because we changed the names and I'm not very creative. I pick the same names over and over and over. But sometimes Sandy catches me and she goes, you have two Sophies in this list, even though they're different people and there's no Sophie involved whatsoever. All right. So again, this is another dream where I would normally say, oh, this is about relationship and so on and so on and on, because we can see her partner Jack is in the dream or somebody who's very like Jack and then dating and so on. Now, this dreamer has a partner and isn't at the stage like the dream says, but you would still say this is going to be about relationship. And when I was channeling on it, they were like, nope, it's not. It's about energy. It's about her masculine side and accepting her masculine side. And so I found that really intriguing. So it's about her getting to a place where she accepts her own masculine energy more than she currently does. So if you can imagine, like Sophie is 70% or say 75% of who she is, feminine energy, and 25% masculine energy, and she needs to now increase the masculine energy. It's still going to be her, but this change is, it to her, it feels like I am at a loss with this change. I'm going to have to sacrifice something in order for, and it's done through analogy of a relationship, in order for this man to move in, I'm going to have to sacrifice part of the space that is mine. Like in the dream, she says, I'm going to have to move some of my work stuff to another building. But of course, like I said, that's not what it's about, but the analogy is really good. And I love the confusion that she points out repeatedly in the dream. It's like, well, if he's selling his house and moving in with me, why is there confusion about, is it he's selling or I'm selling? And it's because even if it is just him selling his house and he's moving in, it may as well be me selling my house because everything changes. I have to sacrifice and give up things that I don't necessarily want to give up. And again, when I was channeling on this, they said, there's no loss, there's no giving up. Even if it was the relationship, it's think about all the things you gain. You give up a lot because you gain a lot. And the things that you need to give up or that you don't want to give up, you don't have to give up really. And you can negotiate and you can do all sorts of things. So ultimately, it's a win-win, especially if everybody's worked on themselves and they're in really good spaces. But again, this confusion of I want to still have my own property and have control of this and control of that. And so they're really insisting it's all about the energy. And so I stepped back and I was like, okay, why are they saying that? Because it just seems so bizarre that they're saying ignore the relationship. And then it hit me. Everything in our life is a reflection of the energy. So this situation and how she feels in a relationship and somebody moving in with her is completely a mirror of what's already happening on an energetic level. So when the energy is that way, you're going to see these bumps in life that we talk about at the start of our show. The bump is not in the way, it is the way. And it's the way because it shows you where your energy is. And so when she's trying to fix her energy, that's what she needs. She's at the level where she can work on that, work on the energetic state and welcoming it in rather than anything else. But of course, we can look at a part of our life and work on our relationship and also vicariously work on the energy by healing those issues. But if you're strong enough and know how to do it, you can go directly after the source, which is what she can do, which I think is really cool. Sandy.
Wow. Okay. So we have two men and they're getting serious about her. And then the drone, Dan comes over and it's awkward because there's a drone sent by Jack. What the heck?
So Jack is her partner. Well, it wasn't actually him in the dream, which also tells us like it's really not about the relationship, but it's about him symbolizing her own masculine energy. And she said this guy, Dan, she only knows him from way, way back in high school, and he's very much milquetoast is how she described him. So it's really a question of what would you prefer? Would you rather go through life with this masculine energy that is very wimpy and just follows you along, but doesn't really do anything for you? Whereas Jack is really super supportive. He does amazing things for her all the time. And so it's like one energy where you're bringing this masculine energy along with you, and it's going to help you in so many ways, like masculine energy should, like belief in yourself and confidence and ability to like create a platform and all that sort of stuff, all masculine energy. So do you want that energy, or do you want the energy that's almost like a burden? You're carrying it on your back. And so that's why we have both people in the dream to show her, look, it's her choice. But the growth clearly is in fully developing the relationship with Jack, with this dream Jack, let's say. And we know that because after the drone, he materializes just his upper body on a landing. And a landing is a good thing in a dream. It's about a transitionary place, a good new place that you're heading into. But he's only half there. He's only half formed. So it's up to her to fully develop this masculine energy and go higher than she currently is.
Wow, that's interesting. So she hugs him, and then she pushes to release his back pain and stress. She pushes on his back, and he slumps on me and acting very needy and dependent. So what the heck is that? That's not normal masculine, is it?
Absolutely not. But that's the masculine she's been used to in relationships, not with this guy, but in her previous relationships. She had very needy people there. And pushing on the back pain, it's her pain in the past. Back pain is about pain in the past. So it's relieving, trying to heal that so that she's more welcoming of this masculine energy.
Wow, that's brilliant. Well, Michael, are you ready to move on?
No, we're out of time.
Oh, but I didn't get to do my two dreams. Oh, everybody, I am so sorry. It is such a bummer, but we are out of time. And so we will have to do my two dreams next week, which all have to do with energy, which would have fit in perfectly with this one before. So stay tuned for next week where you actually get to hear my dreams because we never put them on the show. Thank goodness. All right, Michael.
I think Sandy engineered that. Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.